Ladies and gentlemen, I have been covering this team for years. I have sat in front of this camera through rebuilding seasons, through playoff near misses, through the years when the fan base was surviving on optimism alone while the product on the field was not doing enough to justify it. And I am telling you right now, with complete honesty and zero hyperbole, that what the Toronto Blue Jays did on Friday night at Comerica Park in Detroit, losing a walk-off game 3-2 to a Tigers team that just got swept by the New York Mets, a Tigers team running a bullpen game with Drew Anderson as the primary pitcher, a Tigers team that had lost 3 straight before this series began, might be the single most demoralizing performance I have had to cover in recent memory. And the worst part? It is not just one bad night. It is not a random Friday. It is the culmination of every systemic problem this team has been building toward for 6 weeks. And Friday night was where all of it crashed together in the most perfect storm of bad offense, defensive lapses, bad luck, and one of the most frustrating running game situations you will ever see from a major league bullpen reliever. 19-25. 6 games below 500. And this morning, ESPN confirmed the news that makes everything feel heavier. Jose Berrios will undergo surgery on his pitching elbow on Wednesday. No recovery timeline until after the procedure. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now because this Blue Jays conversation is at a critical crossroads and you need to be here for every update. Drop a like, leave a comment below, and let's go through every single thing that happened Friday night and what it means for this team going forward. Let's start with the game, because the sequence of events in the 9th inning is the kind of thing that Blue Jays fans are going to be replaying and wincing about for days. The Blue Jays entered the bottom of the 9th with a 2-2 tie following a genuinely impressive performance from Trey Yesevich, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, picking up where his early season dominance left off despite 3 wild pitches that created unnecessary drama throughout the night. John Schneider handed the ball to Jeff Hoffman. With 1 out, Matt Vierling blooped a single into center field, the kind of soft, aching, this-can't-be-happening single that soft contact allows in the most unwanted moments. Gage Workman struck out for the 2nd out. And then Vierling stole second base. Hoffman, who has now allowed runners to steal successfully in 6 consecutive attempts this season, 6 for 6, not 1 caught, gave away the bag. Schneider responded by intentionally walking Zach McKinstry, a left-handed hitter batting .174, to face Spencer Torkelson from the right side. The logic was defensible. The outcome was catastrophic. Torkelson drove a fastball to the right center field gap. Vierling scored without a play. Walk-off. Tigers 3, Blue Jays 2. The home team snapped a 3-game losing streak against the defending American League champions. Spencer Torkelson talked about the at-bat afterward. He said, "Against him, you can't really manipulate the barrel too much when the guy's throwing 98 with a really good slider. So it was just shorten up and try to get the job done." He got the job done. And Jeff Hoffman got the loss, falling to 2-3 on the season, with an ERA that has now swollen to 6.05 across 19 1/3 innings. Now let's have the honest conversation about Hoffman, because it requires nuance that a simple, "he has been terrible" framing does not capture. The advanced metrics underneath his surface performance are genuinely confusing. His strikeout rate of 35.2% ranks in the 97th percentile in all of baseball, meaning fewer than 3% of major league relievers get more swing and miss than Jeff Hoffman. His FIP is 3.16, and his xFIP is 2.23. Those numbers suggest a pitcher whose actual talent level is being wildly distorted by an extraordinary run of bad luck. His BOBIP, the batting average on balls in play against him, is over .500. For context, a normal BOBIP floats around .300. At .500, what is happening to Hoffman is not just bad pitching. It is every batted ball finding a hole, every bloop landing between fielders, every grounder squeezing through the infield for a single. That level of BOBIP is statistically unsustainable. At some point, the underlying numbers reassert themselves and Hoffman starts getting his outs at the rate his strikeout rate and FIP suggest he should. But here is the problem that the metrics do not capture: the running game. Runners are 6 for 6 on stolen bases with Hoffman on the mound this season. 6 for 6. Every single runner who has attempted to steal against him has been successful. This is not bad luck. This is a mechanical, identifiable problem with how he holds runners, his delivery tempo, and his timing to the plate. It is the kind of problem that opposing base-running coaches will immediately identify and exploit every single time Hoffman takes the mound. And it is what allowed the entire sequence of events in the ninth inning to unfold the way it did. Vierling should not have stolen that base. A pitcher who holds runners properly does not gift-wrap the winning position in a tie game to the opposing team. John Schneider addressed it directly: "You've got to limit the stolen bases." The last couple of outings for Hoff, teams are taking advantage of that. If you can just keep that runner at first, it's a different thing. That is your manager publicly identifying a specific, addressable technical problem that is costing his team wins. The fix has to happen. But here is the thing. And I want to say this very carefully, because I mean it completely. You cannot sit here and lay the primary blame for this loss, or for this team's current record, on Jeff Hoffman's shoulders. Because while Hoffman was giving up soft singles and stolen bases in the ninth, what was the Toronto Blue Jays offense doing all night long? 5 hits, 2 walks, 2 runs scored off a bullpen game assembled by a team that had just been swept by the New York Mets. The Blue Jays faced Drew Anderson for 4 innings, a pitcher who has professional experience playing in Australia, Japan, and South Korea before reaching the major leagues, and generated exactly 1 hit against him. They had Kenley Jansen in the ninth and went meekly into the night. You cannot win baseball games when you score 2 runs off a bullpen collection that was put together with string and hope and a pitcher who spent meaningful parts of his career in the Australian Baseball League. You simply cannot. And now we arrive at the most uncomfortable part of the entire conversation. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over the last 15 days, the man who is supposed to be the $500 million franchise cornerstone of this Toronto Blue Jays organization, ranks 145th out of 147 qualified hitters in all of Major League Baseball. 145th. He has gone 15 consecutive games without an extra base hit. On Friday night against the Tigers, he struck out in his first at-bat and finished 0 for 4. He hit a 105.7-mile-per-hour line drive in his final at-bat, and it went directly into the center fielder's glove. Even when he is making hard contact, it is not finding holes. This is by far the worst sustained stretch of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s entire major league career. And what makes it so maddening is that the physical ability has not gone anywhere. He is still capable of producing the hard contact numbers. He still has one of the most gifted natural swings in the sport. But the approach, the decision to sit on secondary pitches that Joe Siddall identified weeks ago as the primary issue, has not been corrected. Pitchers are still getting ahead of him with fastballs early in counts. He is still letting those fastballs get deep in the zone and producing weak contact or strikeouts. The adjustment that should have been made based on everything the data was showing is either not being made or is not sticking. And for a player earning the second-largest contract in Blue Jays franchise history, the expectation has to be that he is the player who stabilizes this lineup when everything else is failing. That is not happening right now. Dalton Varsho's defensive deterioration added another dimension to this story. The bloop single that Vierling hit in the ninth, the one that set the whole disastrous sequence in motion, Varsho got a horrible read on it. StatCast confirmed a -6-foot jump compared to the league average jump on that ball. A good to great jump gives him a chance at that catch. Instead, the ball dropped in, Vierling reached base, and the ninth inning turned into a nightmare. Varsho, who was one of the best defensive outfielders in the sport for multiple consecutive seasons before this year, is currently ranked 45th in all of baseball in outfield jump quality. For a player whose defense has always been his stabilizing value when the bat goes quiet, this decline is genuinely alarming. His offense is streaky and always has been. His defense was supposed to be the floor. Right now, the floor has cracks in it. And then there is the surgery news. Jose Berrios will undergo elbow surgery on Wednesday. ESPN confirmed it on Friday evening without a specific recovery timeline until after the procedure is completed. Tommy John surgery typically requires 12 to 14 months of recovery. An internal brace procedure, The alternative that Dr. Keith Meister has been pioneering and which allows some pitchers to return in 4 to 6 months, would represent a significantly more optimistic scenario. Nobody outside the operating room will know which procedure Meister performs until it is done. But regardless of which path the surgery takes, Jose Berrios is not pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2026. The man signed to the 7-year, $131 million extension is going to spend the rest of this season in a sling. 19-25. 6 games below 500. 3 games back of the wild card after the Angels won on Friday. Berrios going for surgery. Hoffman struggling with the running game. Vladdy in the worst stretch of his career. The offense generating 5 hits against a Tigers bullpen game. And yet, and this is the part that requires genuine faith, not blind optimism, Shane Bieber is throwing 2-up bullpen sessions and targeting a return. Alejandro Kirk is hitting off a tee and progressing on schedule for a late May return. Addison Barger's elbow MRI came back without structural damage. The core of this team still exists. The talent is still there. The ceiling, when healthy, is still real. But the games being played right now are not being played with the ceiling roster. They are being played with a lineup that cannot sustain a healthy Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going 145th in baseball. They are being played with a bullpen that cannot figure out how to hold runners on base. They are being played with a Dalton Varsho who is not the same defender who held this outfield together for the last several seasons. And until those things change, until Vladdy wakes up, until Kirk comes back to stabilize the offensive approach, until the reinforcements arrive, this team is going to keep losing the kind of games it should not be losing. That is going to do it for today, folks. Smash that like button right now if you watched Friday's game and felt exactly what I described in this video. Drop a comment below. Are you placing the blame on Hoffman, the offense, or both? And what do you actually think is going to turn this around? I want every single take in the comments. Subscribe if you are not already here, ring that notification bell, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Until next time, let's go Blue Jays.